My name is Riley Militar, and I'll be doing my presentation on worker stress. So, according to the textbook, worker stress is the physiological and/or psychological reactions to events that are perceived to be threatening or taxing. Stressors are an environmental event that is perceived by an individual to be threatening. Stress is a subjective concept due to everyone's different perceptions of what they consider to stress them out. So along with stress, there are two kinds of stress that we may experience in the work field that the textbook mentions: distress and eustress. Say, for example, in the dining hall that I work at, if the managers see how well you're doing at your job, they can promote you to become the leader who acts as an overseer and helps out different stations. In this case, the stressors that can cause distress would include more hours required to work and more responsibilities. However, there are positive stressors that can occur from this, such as higher pay and a sense of accomplishment and pride. High levels of stress can be demanding, though, and can lead to physical illness such as ulcers, high blood pressure, respiratory illnesses, and migraine headaches. High levels of stress can also lead to depression and decreased work performance. In my experience with worker stress, I've had to deal with rush hours, which is around during lunch and dinner time, which is an example of work overload. During rush hours, there's a plethora of customers who ask for food, and we always run out of supplies during this time. Sometimes I also have to deal with rude customers, which has led me to be tired to deal with, leads me to have a bad mood for the rest of the day, which also decreases my work performance in my other job and in my schoolwork. I've also had to deal with early shifts, which include shifts that started at 6 a.m., which has caused me to be sick. So these are some of the stressors that I've had to deal with. In one of the articles I read, it was investigating the effectiveness of MBST, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction therapy, and EI, which is emotional intelligence on worker stress. Study focused This study focused on the efficacy of different programs designed to reduce organizational stress using an experimental approach. The subjects completed the MBST program and an EI assessment. MBST is a mindfulness training to assist people with stress by training people's attention and cultivating their awareness so that they can make better choices in their work environment. Emotional intelligence is how well a person can read and monitor their own emotions as well as the emotion of others. In conclusion, the study found that attempts to reduce employee stress levels, while commendable, should be assessed to determine whether their impact is actually positive. In this case, MBST was not an effective method for stress reduction. Granted, normal MBST programs last 8 weeks. In their study, it took 5 weeks. Employee EI is an important factor in successful companies, and higher EI has led to high performance, and employees being more satisfied with their jobs, and greater levels of organizational commitment. According to the textbook, it mentions that stress can cause a decrease in work performance. However, if you look at this graph, very low levels of stress and very high levels of stress are associated with poor work performance, and low to moderate levels of stress are associated with better performance. This is due to the fact that high levels of stress can interfere with mental processing, thus decreasing job performance, while having little to no stress can cause the worker to have little motivation to work. We have to keep in mind, however, that stress and work performance are complex variables and may also have lurking variables that can affect them, so it may not hold to be true for other jobs. So for the solutions, according to the textbook, one can cope with worker stress with individual coping strategies, which include techniques such as exercise, meditation, or cognitive restructuring that can be used to deal with worker stress. And although relaxation and meditation are intended to reduce the physiological arousal associated with stress, they may also induce positive psychological reactions to stress. Part of relaxing and meditating includes reflecting on your own emotions, which can increase your emotional intelligence. And, like mentioned in the study regarding emotional intelligence, increasing your emotional intelligence is associated with lower levels of stress.